listen to records, smell the cover, read all the verses. Tell me about your favorites on Vinyl and Vision.
Hey folks, thanks for tuning into the latest episode of Vinyl and Vision. Tonight's episode is episode 20. Finally a nice round even number. My guest tonight is Will Schaff. Will is a extremely talented and interesting local musician and artist. Artist primarily, but he's a great musician. As a matter of fact, you might be currently listening to a selection from one of the bands he has been part of, the Iditarod, and a song called Sparrow. Will's a super amazing artist, first and foremost. A very generous and kind-hearted person. It was a pleasure to have him on the show and to speak with him for a little while. We probably actually talked for way longer than this episode is. We hung out like all night, and it was amazing. And I hope to do it again with him soon. But more about Will. He's got a lot of things going on in his life which were cool, and we actually did not necessarily pay too much attention to during the interview, so let me just get those out here now. Is that he has a radio program. It's about an hour long. It's broadcasts on 100.1 FM in Providence. It's the Providence Community Radio Station. For those people who cannot tune into that because it's a terrestrial station here in Rhode Island, you can actually listen to his broadcasts on SoundCloud. I will link everything. There's that. There are his Flickr page, which you can see a number of pieces of his mail art and just art in general. That's a great resource to go to kind of get familiar with a lot of his art if you are interested in seeing some of it and some of the history of his mail art in particular. And speaking of mail art, he has a series of postcards which he has just released with Frog and Toad, which is a local store in Rhode Island. Very great shop, kind of focuses on local arts and crafts, people, handmade, homemade things, and it's one of the best in the city for sure. So Will lives in a home called Fort Foreclosure, which is not just a clever name. He has literally pulled himself out of foreclosure 4 times, and that's where the name comes from. He has been able to do that through a Indiegogo campaign, which he had done a few years back. We talked about that briefly in the interview, but he does actually still maintain support through his community, through his Patreon page, which will be in the descriptions, so look for that link. So if you'd like to support him and so that he can keep on creating the way he does, then that would also, of course, be much appreciated. And and so little different format tonight. He did not choose a record. So just based on the strength, the type of art that he's done for the names in music that he has done them for, I figured we would just focus on that instead of actually focusing on like a inspirational record to him. So yeah, a little different today. So I hope you enjoy it. Please, by all means, do all the things you do with the internet. Give all the likes, the shares, the follows on all of the medias, because it's everywhere, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and enjoy. So let's see. Considering I went there, what what is it about your art? Okay, so first of all, you went to school. You went to art school, I imagine.
I did. I went to the Maryland Institute College of Art in Baltimore, Maryland. See, exactly. I'm taking a photo of this. I like this. You're the first person who's interviewed me that says I should wear a mask too. I like that.
Well, you have them. You have them to go around, so I appreciate it. I feel honored to be wearing one, man. I'm gonna be a little muffled though. I'm gonna talk like this.
Man.
No, man, I'm not afraid of shit. Like I told you, I used to live in a house that was like this, and like I understand. I come from the same place, kinda. I did the growing up thing and had kids though and got married and stupid shit like
Oh,
that.
you got kids?
I did. I have 2 kids.
Dang, how's that?
It's a trip.
Do you like kids?
I do like kids. Yeah. It's different, having to raise them and care for them and protect them and all that shit.
So much selflessness involved in that act. I could never do it.
That's a cool way of thinking of it. I never thought of it that way.
Oh my God, yeah.
I think the mothers have it worse.
Oh, sure.
Fathers are, I mean, we can make do in a bunch of different ways. For the most part, we're the providers, or at least I know I am. I just work a shit ton and
Well,
do
so maybe
that.
it's safe to say the mother's burdens are difficult and probably seemingly worse to us, but you're sacrificing as well. I mean, granted, you didn't have to carry anything inside
Yeah.
your body.
It's true.
That one they went on all day.
Oh yeah. all
But
day.
still, man, you're stressed and worried about your kids. You're stressed and worried about making it all work too.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's,
Yeah, we share that burden. I think it's just like I have boys. I don't know what it's like to have girls. I know that my wife was. She was she's very pleased that she did not have girls, because she thought, well, I know what I did growing up, and I don't want to have to deal with that.
What's that expression? Are we allowed to swear on this
Yeah,
show?
of course you can.
What is it with a boy? You only got to worry about one dick. With a girl, you got to worry about thousands. So
It's true.
there's
It's true.
something to that.
Yeah, and it's also the opposite side of that coin was I forget which comedian said it, but they were like, like if you have kids, like if you have a boy, like all day long, like you think nothing but like, I hope you get the most pussy in the world. I hope you get pussy all day, every day, and the best of it, the best, And then, but if you're a girl, you're like, I don't want you seeing one dick. I
Right.
don't want you like ever.
Yes, the parental double standard.
Yeah. But I don't know. I imagine I'd probably feel the same if I had girls.
How old are your kids?
11 and 9.
So thankfully you still got some years before you have to start worrying about that anyways, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know.
I
These
don't know
kids
either,
these days,
actually.
man.
Yeesh.
I hear some pretty gnarly things from like, as far as like what some kids are doing at what ages, and I'm like, wow, I missed the boat. I'm a late bloomer.
Oh my God, I was a late bloomer. I can't even imagine having to worry about a kid. I really
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah. Well, hey, man. I don't think it's for everybody, and I don't think that,
Not for me.
especially in today's age, man. I mean, the overpopulation, like the worrying of like the world in the state it's in now, it's just like it kind of sucks to try to bring a child up into this world.
What made you and your wife decide to have children? Was it planned?
No, it was accident.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just
Yeah.
bad timing. I don't know. Didn't pull out in time or something like that, and here we go. Yeah. It's just like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah, it's got to be a whole different. I mean, I imagine you look at this whole global warming thing in a way very differently than me.
Nah, I don't know.
I mean, it's got to be your kid's future.
Well, they've been shit out of luck since they were born. I mean, that's how it is for us. I mean, like I am concerned with the state of the world and the state, the political and atmospherical state, but there's not much we can do at this point. I mean, like, you do what you can on your end. We try to limit our pollution, try to limit our
What's the good news?
use.
We're doing a podcast.
Awesome.
Yeah.
See you, Mr. Jeff.
You have some close neighbors. Huh?
That was Jeff the Postman, who was actually doing a record listening party here on Friday for his sophomore album, Jeff the Postman, Return to Sender. He is a poet.
Nice.
And him and another neighbor, Prescott Cronin. This is, like I said, their second album. They have. I feel it's stronger than the first because the last one just kind of sounded like Jeff was doing his poetry and Prescott was making great music, and then I don't know why the two things were on the same album. This one, they work together.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Jeff's quite the character.
That's cool. Yeah, I could tell. And he's a legitimate mail carrier?
He is retired now. He retired a few years ago.
Oh, there you
but
go.
he started writing his poetry on the back of junk mail while he'd be doing his route.
Nice.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah, because I'm a carrier too, actually.
Oh, there you go. I have another buddy who's a carrier, C.W. Rowley, an artist.
He's a carrier?
He's a carrier now.
Oh,
Yes.
that's cool.
He is also someone, if anyone was ever going to go postal, it would be Sonny.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
He seems like such a sweet, nice guy.
He is, but boy, you push him.
Yeah.
Doesn't
I guess
go well.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it happens at that organization too a lot. So.
I think he's loving it. I think he really is.
Yeah?
Sonny's such an amazing, amazing person. I've known him. We went to school together in Baltimore.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And you happen to both land in Rhode Island.
When I moved up to Rhode Island, I wanted to be closer to my family in Boston, and Rhode Island was the closest I could get and still afford it. And I'd known Providence already, just from growing up in Boston. I'd done the RISD pre-college program here when I was in high school. And I also had some friends already living here from Baltimore. So moved up and then pulled as many people from Baltimore as we could. And I think we got a total of 8, maybe. So it was great. While we were working our work weeks, learning our new city, every Sunday we would get together for dinner and the X-Files and all that jazz. And we would have that sort of relaxation with people we knew. So, and Sonny was one of those. Sonny was the last person we were able to get up here.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Huh, so it was a great migration.
It was a good migration.
I guess that happens with a few people. I kind of feel like I remember a story similar to that, but I can't remember who it was that was telling me. A bunch of people kind of like came from college to Rhode Island for some reason.
It's always great when you move if you can bring with you your friends, because again, it gives you that safety net of you're having a bad day, you're in a city you don't know.
Right.
Well, you can talk to someone who does know you and who you know. So it's always wonderful if you can do that.
Absolutely. I'm just going to hold this because
The mask's probably muffling it a bit.
it's muffling me a little bit. Yeah, it's like maybe I should even...
Oh yeah,
Get
it's
rid of
got its
that.
own pop guard already.
I got a built-in pop guard today. I know what Brian Chippendale feels like.
Chippendale to me was such an inspiration for these masks as well. My thinking has always been, or I'd always wish that Rhode Island drummers, whether you're in a country band or a noise band or whatever, all wore masks. So whenever you were touring, if you ever caught a band somewhere outside of Rhode Island, you would say, there's a Rhode Island band. I'd always wish that all Rhode Island drummers, just out of principle, wore masks, but
Yeah.
they don't.
Well, just the drummer, though, not the rest of the band.
Just the drummer.
I like the idea of uniforms now.
I love the idea of uniforms. I always loved it. I mean, you saw, starting with, well, even before the Beatles, but I always loved the idea when bands have a uniformed look.
Yeah.
It just makes them look sharper. It makes them look more on point with what they're doing, even
Right.
if they're doing absolute shit. I mean, think about the Mummies. I don't know if you've ever seen the Mummies play.
Yeah, legitimate mummies, right? wrapped
Yeah,
up.
they'd be wrapped up as mummies, falling down because they were pissed drunk all the time, but they looked good as a band on stage.
Yeah. Yeah, it works. I mean, you got the gimmick, you got the name, dress up as that, kind of pulls a lot of attention towards you. Obviously, trying to put on a good show helps too, but...
Yeah, no, it really does. I mean, even when we were in the marching band, we all wore sort of our own customized uniform, but we all started from the same base uniform.
Yeah.
And it just looks better than one guy wearing Bermuda shorts, another person wearing a I'm with stupid shirt or whatever the fuck.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Like, when you moved to Providence, what year was it when you moved here?
97, halfway through 97.
Okay. So, what was the first band you took part in locally?
Alec K. Redfern and the Eyesores.
Ah.
I was at a party with then bassist Margie Wenk, who knew one of the Baltimore folk, Jeffrey Alexander, that had moved here with us.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to a party of hers. Alec was there, Margie, of course, and Matt Everett. And I guess their drummer, Mark Bedini, was hiking the Appalachian Trail. And I don't know who told them that I could play drums, but they said, hey, I hear you play drums. I'm like, yeah, I can do it, sure. I said, what kind of music do you guys do? And they had their instruments there, and they whipped them out. And they just played this absolutely beautiful 3-song set for me. And I said, that's what I want to do. And they brought me in on drums at first. I was on drums for a couple months, and then the drummer came back, and Alec was nice enough to keep me. He just moved me over to rhythm guitar.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so how long did that last? Because I know you went on to a few other bands since.
Yeah, it lasted for 3 years. Redfern is an amazing songwriter, super generous person. He is also a bit of a scattershot.
That comes a lot with the artists, right?
It does. I find that difficult because often enough, being scattered when you have so many people doing so much can lead to a feeling of lack of courtesy. I don't think it was ever Alec's intent to be discourteous, but what's up, man? How you doing? Howdy.
Just
In the middle of an interview.
how you doing? Are you a Warren local?
He is a
native?
Warren local, yeah.
Oh, cool, man.
I'll talk. Adios, man. I'll talk to you later.
Adios.
So, yeah, I don't think Alec ever set out to be discourteous, but it just felt that way to me. And there is this humorous last straw story that Alec and I still joke about to this day. I don't know how much he likes hearing it, but it still cracks me up. We were doing a show at MIT, and the thing is, we were using all acoustic instruments for the most part, and they're beautiful sounding instruments on their own. I'm not a big fan of amplification. I think usually putting a pickup in an acoustic guitar takes away the beauty of the sound. So I was very excited. We were going to be in a studio. We could mic things up. It could sound great because it was a great sounding band. Let's see if I can keep this short. Without going into why, for some reason, we all had to do like a musical chairs with our cars before going up there. So I lent Alec my car. I took Laura Gully's car. She was the violinist that night, and Laura took his van. Alec had so many coffee mugs in his van when we were trying to go. He just like, fuck it. He put them all in a plastic bag, put them in my car. We left. Met up at the radio station later that night. Now, to do this show, I had to be up the next morning at 5 a.m. for my job. So I knew I'd have to go to my job as a parking lot attendant. I was going to, after the show, I was just going to go sleep in my car in the parking lot. So that way I wouldn't be late for work. And to make my morning right, I bought a bear claw donut that I left in my car so I could have breakfast. We do the show. I'm already pissed because Alec gets the brainstorm idea that we should all be in the same room in the studio, which of course with the drums, that means now we're all plugged in, and there was all sorts of technical. Okay. So I'm already annoyed by the time the show's over. I go to my car because now we can all take our own cars back. I get in, I see Alec has forgotten his mugs, and I have a sleeping bag laid out in the back because that's where I'll be sleeping. I pick up the bag breaks. Half the mugs had coffee all in them. So there's coffee all over my sleeping bag now. Now I'm really pissed. And I look over to the front seat where my donut was, Cruller actually, and the fucker had eaten it. So I run back into the studio, hand him his dumbass coffee mugs that are now all over my blanket for the night. I'm like, you ate my donut. Where's my fucking donut? And he said, oh, well, I saw it there. I figured you didn't want it. So I went to work, slept on a coffee-soaked sleeping bag, went home that night and wrote my letter of resignation saying, I think it's time we move on.
Oh, man.
But that's what I mean. There's like just none of his intention was ill.
Yeah. It just bad.
But it just all comes down to him not thinking, well, you know what? Why am I putting a bag full of half-full coffee cups on this guy's sleeping bag? We already know he's sleeping in a garage. Let's give him a break. Why am I going to eat that donut just because he hasn't eaten it yet? He might want it for later. It's just like not fully thinking.
Right.
That said, if he's putting all that brain power he's not using on interacting with you into his music, it shows. Because I still say to this day, he's probably one of the best composers in this city.
Yeah.
And I have no clue how he has not been able to sustain himself more from his music, because there's really nothing of its equal in this city.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a pleasure. The further I get away from it, the more pleasurable I remember it being.
Yeah.
At that time, though, I was young and annoyed, and
you hate your crawler, man. You can't forgive that.
But I'll tell you this too, because I'm self-taught, so there's a lot I don't know about music.
Yeah.
Alec, Margie, Laura, Matt, Corwin, who actually do you play with barn burning much? Because Corwin's in barn burning now.
Oh, Butterworth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in the eyesores when I was in the eyesores.
Oh, okay.
I mean, these were all such amazing musicians that half the shit they were asking me to do, I didn't know how to do, and they would take the time to show me.
Yeah.
Which I learned so much about Eastern European music I didn't know about. I learned so much about the guitar I didn't know about, and different alternate timings and alternate rhythms and stuff. It was a great experience to play with them.
Yeah, I bet. It sounds great. Yeah. I can you always kind of draw from people anyway. I don't know what level you felt you were at when you started with them, but that's great that you just can, especially those guys.
I definitely left at a better level.
Yeah, I mean, you play with a bunch of like pros like that. You can't help but to learn something from them.
Yep. No, it's true. And
So
I've been
cool.
lucky with the different acts I've played with, and it's not been many, but those that I have all been way better than me kind of allowed me to come up with them.
Yeah. Like the Iditarod, did that
Yeah,
come after
Iditarod was
that?
another one, especially because Jeffrey, the guy from Baltimore, he was
Mm-hmm.
he was one half of the Iditarod.
Yeah.
And whenever they would go on tour, he would always want to bring musicians that weren't heard on the album, doing things that weren't heard on the album. So that's how I ended up hooking up with them.
Hmm.
And I hate improv. I hate playing it. I generally don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And so first he pulled me in just to do some like Scottish marching beats and stuff. But Jeffrey really likes improv. So at one point he's like, you got to try to improv. And I wouldn't. But I did like getting pushed that way. And then, they took me all around Great Britain. They took me all around Iceland, just doing boom, cha, boom, cha. Like that's mostly what I was doing, and I
Yeah.
got to see parts of Europe I hadn't seen before.
Oh.
So that was a real treat. Also, I got to do the piano 27 with them and keyboards. You know, I'd never really played keyboards in a band setting before, and that was a lot of fun for me. That
That's
was good.
cool. Yeah, well, that sounds pretty fun. Let's see. After Iditarod came.
After Iditarod, the next band, like actual band I was in, was What Cheer, and that was from I think 2005. So we started in 2005, and I stayed with them until 2015 when I moved to Oakland for a little bit.
Oh.
And that was an incredible experience playing with those guys because again, 9 out of 10 of those musicians are beyond aces with their skill.
Yeah.
And this, I loved what we did with no stage. I loved
The guerrilla tactic.
I just loved being with the crowd. It's like the
Yeah.
music show you played here the other night. I love sitting this close to a musician.
Right.
I love not having that wall of the stage and of amplifiers and all that jazz. It was the only band I'd ever played with that every time we played was instant gratification for me because people started dancing.
Yeah.
I can think of very few places we ever showed up that people weren't excited.
Right.
So that
Right.
was an awful great experience to get to have.
Yeah, yeah, I admired that as well. I mean, like, you guys, it was great seeing you guys, and even recently, I saw them actually, I think it was last month or something?
I would say musicianship-wise, they're even better, and they just get better every year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. I used to say, because we would start eventually doing tryouts when we had a lot of rotating members. And as the years got on, I thank God I got in when I did because I couldn't pass these tryouts. If I tried to join up for them today, personality-wise, I don't know if they would take me, but musicianship-wise, I'm just not up to that level. Those guys are phenomenal.
Yeah. Huh. That's great, man. So, you've always been doing art, obviously.
Yes.
It's obviously something that I'm imagining you started as a kid, right?
Yeah, no, I always drew. I always was doing something as a kid.
Yeah. You never saw yourself as being an artist when you grew up, or?
No, I actually almost became a Benedictine monk. I almost joined a monastery in Newton, Massachusetts.
Wow.
After I got out of high school, wasn't quite sure what to do. Religion's always been, well, not always, but later in my high school years, religion became an important part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And the thought of just dedicating my entire time to that was great. Silly enough, the thing that kept me from doing it was knowing that I wouldn't be able to listen to things like the Dead Kennedys in the monastery. Music is such a vital part to my daily existence. I mean, it's, to me, there's God to be heard in music, and there is communion to be had with God through listening to music. And so to not get to do that, I'm like, I'm not ready for that. I was 18 or 19. I just wasn't ready to give up music.
Right.
And so thought about joining the Navy. My dad talked me out of that. And then I knew I liked to draw. I'd wanted to go to RISD, actually. I really had. And I got in, but they didn't offer any financial aid. So that kind of dashed my ideas of going to art school.
Right.
Called a friend up in Baltimore who was already there at Hopkins. I asked him if there was an art school nearby. He said there was. I got in. They gave me good financial aid. Ended up in Baltimore for the next 7 years.
Jesus. Wow, 7 years.
Yeah, or 6 years. I'd finished school in time, in 4 years.
Okay.
But it was just so cheap down there, so inexpensive that
Really?
I thought, why move back? Oh yeah, we were living in a 5,000 square foot warehouse for $900 a month.
Oh.
Yeah, it was also a total shithole. But I mean, the whole city was a shithole.
Right.
I could sit here for the next 3 hours and tell you horrible stories of things that happened to people in Baltimore.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
All right, so then you end up in Rhode Island after Baltimore, and so how do you get started, like, getting in the art in Rhode Island? You just kind of started doing art, and everyone just kind of noticed.
Well, at the time, actually, it was funny. So, having come out of art school, I had this grand theory that, I'm just going to start hitting up galleries, and they're going to show my work, and I'm going to start making a living, which was the furthest thing from the truth. Not one gallery around here would show me. No one was interested in showing me. I, needed to pay rent, so I quickly got a job at Pizza Pyre. Was my first job.
Okay.
And then after Pizza Pyre, I went to Kinko's, and I was at Kinko's for a while. And while I was at Kinko's, I was still doing my art and still trying to get galleries to look at it, but they wouldn't. While I was at Kinko's, I met the guys from Fort Thunder because I had been doing third shift only.
Mm-hmm.
And they would come in there and just rob that place blind. Cleverly. I'm not, not like, with guns or nothing, but they would come in there. They'd be making hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of copies every night off of ways they figured out how to scam the machines.
Huh.
But it was a pleasure to meet them, and one of the things when I first met them, Brian Chippendale and Brian Ralph were the first two guys I really started talking with. They introduced me to the world of little mini zines. I'd never seen these, I never even thought about them. And I just love the idea that you can make these things and put them wherever you want. One, you can sell them for $1, which gets you a couple bucks.
Sure.
Also, you can leave them wherever you want, and now your art's getting out there. No one's telling you it can't.
Right.
And so I was working at Kinko's too. I thought, heck, let's try it.
Yeah.
And I started making my own zines, and that actually led me to a lot of bigger and great opportunities just from making these zines. And it was funny. I remember when I got offered my first show in Providence. I was very excited. I hit up Chippendale and I said, "Hey man, let's go. You want to make this a group show, you and me?" And he's like, "No. Why don't we go into the woods and hang up some shit and see who shows up?" And I remember thinking at the time, that is the dumbest idea. What do you think? That's just stupid.
Yeah.
Years later, man, that's the total right way to do it. I learned a lot from all the guys I knew there. They all had a lot of wisdom to impart, and they were just inspirational because their life was art. They weren't working regular jobs, and most of them weren't anyways, and, all they cared about was making art and making music.
Yeah. That's true. I never think about that too deeply because I never got in touch with them too closely. I've met them after the fact or whatever, especially after Fort Thunder closed. But yeah, it's pretty impressive, like that mentality to have, and to just follow it through to.
Well, I'll give you a great example, and again, this is memory, so I don't know how accurate this example is or how much of it has been shaped by my own mismemory. But do you remember that Lightning Bolts and Sonic Youth show that happened at Lupo's?
I remember it happening. I didn't go to it.
Well, they were trying to get Lightning Bolt to open for them, and Lightning Bolt didn't want to. They were fans, but they didn't want to play at Lupo's because they, were sure Lupo's was going to have them play on a stage.
Right.
And as Brian had said, he's just like, "Oh, well, we just got back from tour. We're good, thanks." So for starters, I was at the Fort when he was talking one day, I think to Thurston Moore. I can't remember if he was talking to Thurston Moore or Ben McCosker from Load Records.
Oh.
But, I'm only hearing half this conversation.
Yeah.
So I don't misrepresent too many facts. I'll just cut to the point and say at one point he's like, "Well, I guess if you guys open for us, we'll do it." Sonic Youth opened for them. I remember that show, and it cracked me up. Sonic Youth is in the middle of their second encore on stage. Lightning Bolt had gotten permission to set up on the ground in the corner.
Yeah.
In the middle of their second encore, Brian just starts playing, starts drumming away.
Right.
And all of a sudden, everyone's focus is on that. They run over there, and you see Sonic Youth just kind of stop playing. They all pull out their little disposable cameras that were popular at those times.
Really?
And they just start taking pictures. And you could see in their faces, they were like, "This is how exciting we were 20 years ago."
Right. Yeah.
But it's just that mentality of Chippendales that is like, you know what? I know what we're supposed to do here. This is what I want to do. How about you open for us?
Yeah.
And they said, yeah.
That's pretty ballsy.
It is. But it's also...
they had that like, just excitement about them that obviously someone like Sonic Youth reaching out to them in the first place, which I know has happened a lot since. But at the time, I think that was probably one of the first, I think, for them. One of the majors, like these
probably
really
that
big
I can remember.
deals.
They were already getting a lot of great bands coming through Fort Thunder. It was pretty wild to look back and think of the bands that played Fort Thunder. So the funny thing about Chippendale, at least to an outside observer, and with Brian Gibson, they don't seem impressed by much. Not that they're aloof, but they're just really happy in their world.
Yeah.
They're impressed when they figure out how to do a song, it seems, the way they want. Right. Or when some piece Brian's trying to make works the way he wants to, or some animated video Brian Gibson is doing works the way he wants to. Like
Right. They're just driven by the craft.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that, to me, seeing that always would remind me, I need to be doing that. I need to be doing more. I need to be working as much as them,
Right.
as opposed to saying, well, I mean, it was always an issue of paying rent. I
Right.
don't know what their rent was. It must have been dirt fucking cheap, but
They figure it out. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'm doing that much more now
Yeah.
than I was then, but I'm still in a much better and safer place, I feel like, than they were when they were doing it. I've had
Right.
been doing this longer, more of a reputation. My patrons have been incredible. So I'm far luckier than they were, I think.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you about that because you say you're in a better and safer position now. You're here in this place called Fort Foreclosure.
Right.
This is your home, right? You own
This
this
is.
building?
The bank owns it. I just pay them rent.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I've been in foreclosure 4 times, which is how this building got its nickname.
Right.
I think it'd be difficult for me to fall back in, because after the last time I was in foreclosure, I did one of those Indiegogo account things to help raise money to get out of foreclosure. And any money left over from that, I put into a bank account. So if there was a month I didn't have the money for mortgage,
Yeah.
I could pull from that account and then put back into it when I got the money later.
Yeah.
So that's been great.
Oh, cool.
I was able to do like an automatic account with the bank, so I have not fallen into foreclosure since then.
Great.
And going further down the road, now I do that Patreon thing, and I got to tell you, that has made my life so much more sane.
Yeah.
I try to tell those who want to support me, even if you can just give me $1 a month, if I can get 1,000 of you,
Right.
I now have a steady income, which art doesn't really provide.
Right.
And that has allowed me to, again, have a safety net that gives me a moment to breathe.
Right.
That doesn't have me. I mean, it's the end of the month now. If this was 5 years ago, I'd be pulling my teeth out thinking, how am I going to... I haven't sold anything recently. I haven't made my rent this month. I haven't, paid these bills, that bills.
Right.
So with the Patreon and the backup from the Ford account, that has made me so much more relaxed. And I have no one but my patrons to thanks for that, like my supporters.
Cool.
I mean, I guess it's me in as much that I'm making the work they like, but
Yeah.
I can't toot my own horn too much and say, well, I'm that good. No, they're that nice.
Right.
So,
That's cool.
Yeah.
So what do you offer your patrons that
Nothing.
support? No, I mean, like, don't you give them artwork or
Nope.
something? No?
No, they are getting, because when I did the Indiegogo campaign, the rewards took me so long to complete that, one, I started stressing out about that. And then, two, it was almost like a year or so before I was doing artwork again. And what's the point of having people support you to make your art if you then instead just spend all your time trying to make their rewards?
I see. Okay.
So with these patrons who I have now, I have patrons who actually commission work, but then I have the patrons through Patreon.
Right. That are just there for
Through
support.
Patreon, they are doing this knowing that the work will be made. And these are people who genuinely want to see the work made. They enjoy having it in their life, even if only through the internet.
Yeah.
But they maybe can't afford a piece. So to them, $1 a month is great.
Yeah.
Some people give $5 a month, whatever. That way they feel they are still a part of it. And, I'll write them a letter of thanks. I mean, I try to, through the website, let them see what they are supporting, but there are no rewards offered.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that's also for tax reasons, too.
I see. Okay.
If you offer rewards, you are implying they're getting something for it, and that is taxable. Right now, these are as if people are coming to my door and giving me $1.
Right.
So,
Cool.
yeah, that is.
That's great. Well, thank
So
you
if
to
you
all
want
those
to support
people.
me through Patreon, it's patreon.com/William Schaff.
Yeah. Well, I'll link it for you for sure.
Cheers.
Absolutely. Cheers. Thank you. Thank you, by the way, for having me and
Hot dog, man. This is
offering
fun.
me this fine whiskey. I gotta do this though. You like that slurp? That's gross. So I was gonna say something. I was thinking about this earlier, and I don't ever write out questions or anything like that. I just think things, and sometimes they come out at the right time, sometimes they don't. But on my way up here, I was wondering about your artwork that you've had for the musicians that you've been commissioned for those, I guess. You somehow or other managed to land spots doing cover artwork and artwork in general for albums that have come out by.
It's a combination of commissions where they'll contact me and ask me to make work for their albums. Other times, maybe people who can't afford that, they're welcome to license an image, which is far cheaper.
Yeah.
So there's albums out there that they're just using imagery of mine.
Yep.
But for the most part, they're all new images made for specifically for those bands.
That's cool.
It is.
Now, so because what led me to think that is it's like I don't know all of those bands perfectly. I definitely know a lot of them and a lot of the music, and I feel like it's all very similar. It all comes from a kind of a similar vein, which I don't even think all of those bands and all of this artwork share the same label.
No.
But how do you feel about that? That your artwork and the way that you create art has a now built-in kind of aesthetic to it, where if someone sees your artwork, they almost kind of know what they might be able to expect from it, especially musically speaking. Because if I think of these albums here, like from Ockerville River and Magnolia Electric Company and Brown Bird, and a lot of the same vein. And so I think that's now if someone sees that artwork, they'll be I know that artwork. I know that guy that did that, or for another record that he did that for, and they might buy the record just for that reason.
One, that'd be great. If someone was so moved by the cover and they haven't heard the band and they say, that's a Schaff.
I think a lot of people do that.
I think that's super swell and awful nice.
Yeah.
But you got to be careful because I think while there is a lot of similar sounds with these bands, part of that is the scene they're in.
Right.
So it's kind of like you know people in your town because it's a small enough town. You run into each other.
Right.
I have definitely done art for bands that sound nothing like those bands. I mean, there's this one guy out of, I want to say he's out of Sweden, but now he might be in Philadelphia. And he is much more of I almost want to say metalish Godspeed, in that sort of epic, longer pieces, but a lot of thundering crashes, a lot of thundering sounds. I've done, let's see what else. I'm trying to think what other weird or different stuff.
Well, you did Allison Callery.
I did Allison Callery. Dream End, I feel, is nothing like the Ockerville stuff or that more sort of alt-country stuff that you would hear.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's great if someone wants to buy an album because they recognize my work, but if they think they know what it's going to sound like, be careful.
No, I don't think that they think that they'll know what it sounds like, but I think that they'll know I'm probably going to like this. It probably fits into that world where the rest of these albums are. If they have.
I've done some artwork for some really bad albums.
Yeah.
And I don't say this to take shots at the musicians whose album I didn't like. That's personal preference. Because even those albums I didn't like, they were well recorded. They were well performed. I mean, there was a lot to compliment them on.
Right.
Literally, though, there was one album I remember I did. And again, I'm not naming any names here, but normally when I make an album, make artwork for an album, I just leave it on repeat. So I might hear that album 40, 50 times in a row, which is, to me, also a testament on how good the album is that I don't burn out on it.
Right.
There was one album, I got through it twice, and then I said, fuck this. And I just said, I'm going to make some art, whatever comes in my head that has nothing to do with this album.
Huh.
The band liked the artwork.
Yeah.
It's been released. People seem happy.
Okay.
But, yeah,
That's cool.
You got some duds in there, too.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's true. I mean, I don't know the whole catalog. I mean, I feel like I know a lot of it. Like, I checked it. I pulled up the list on Discogs just to kind of see, like, an actual
weird.
chronology.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, just because I wanted to see, like, the whole list from all the years. And, the more I looked down, I was just like, okay, wait, no, I remember that. I remember that. I remember that. And even though I don't necessarily own those records, some of them I do. But, I was just like, yeah, I know. Okay, because, like, the first one I think was the Eyesores.
I did the first three. I did the artwork for the first three
Right.
Eyesores albums.
So there was those, and I know the Eyesores. So I know that realm.
And I did try to make the art look like what I thought the music sounded like.
Okay.
I mean, that is something I try to do.
Yeah.
There are times, though, I do hear the certain music, and I'm thinking, oh, it'd be so much more exciting if I made the art look nothing like the music. Because sometimes it would feel just too sort of on the nose if I just did that. What is that?
Because you have to you have to turn off the truck every time you get out of it.
Okay.
So to fucking set up the mirrors on the truck, you have to sit down, look in the mirrors, make sure you can see almost 360 degrees around the truck. And if you can, you need to adjust one. You got to turn your truck off, walk out, adjust it, go back in the truck, look. It's like, oh, that's not it yet. You have to do it again.
No shit.
It sucks.
Is the shutting off the engine just a precaution from it getting stolen?
Stolen or rolling away.
Good point.
Yeah, it's a precaution in general. It's something.
Are they sticks or automatics?
They are automatics, but those trucks have been they're like 30, 40 years old almost, some of them.
I've looked into buying them a couple of times. It's just such a great little vehicle.
It
You can
is.
transport shit. It's fun that the wheel's on the other side.
Yeah, but
And
they'll break down all the fucking time.
Do they really?
Oh yeah.
I didn't think they got put through much because you guys are never going particularly fast.
It's not particularly that they're going fast. It's just the wear on them, the constant, especially because they turn them off constantly.
Oh, right.
Turning on and off constantly. Most of the times, the ignition. There's a good portion of trucks I've been in. You can pull the key right out of it with the ignition on, or you can turn on the ignition without using the key.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's not
they're
good.
just worn out. They're just fucking rode hard and put away wet. So they're not safe vehicles in general. So they take every precaution to make sure that that you don't kill anybody or yourself in it, because that's what they don't want.
That's good. Yeah, you wouldn't
Yeah.
want to do that.
No, I don't want to fucking die doing a job, especially that one.
How long you been a postal worker?
I think almost 5 years now.
How you liking it? It looks like a hard job.
It is. It is a hard job. You know, I mean, like, it has its moments where it's cool and it's kind of nice. There's things that you can like about it for sure. But then there's things about it that really, like, kind of just get on your nerves and make you fucking hate life, you know? Just like, I don't want to fucking do this.
Sonny just did a great wire. Have you seen Sonny's wire work?
Not
CW
recently,
Rolling?
but I mean, a lot of it.
He just did a new series that he was exhibiting up in, I think, Arlington, Mass. And one of them is a self-portrait, but it's just him in his mail truck. And the mail truck's phenomenal. It
Wow.
really is, yeah.
I'd love to see that.
It's a good
That's
piece.
cool. We had a lot of famous artists go through the post office, musicians and artists and shit like that.
Sure.
You know, a lot of famous people. That'd be cool if he were one.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm a big fan of the post office. I mean, I've been doing mail art now for close to 20 years.
Yeah.
And I love it. And I remember one of my favorite post office stories, because, you know, you get the occasional postal worker who will refuse to send something out because the stamp's not in the right place and the address isn't written there, but it's seldom.
Yeah.
I remember when I was living off of Thayer Street or near Thayer Street, the postal workers there, and this we're talking now almost 20 years ago, or more than 20 years ago, the postal workers there were great, and they loved the envelopes I did. And at the time, since I was working at Kinko's, before I would send out an envelope, I always color copied it, so I had a document of it.
Oh. Okay.
And one day I came into the post office in the morning. I brought him 4 volumes of mail art that I had sent, and including mail art that had been sent back to me. I'm like, oh, you guys enjoy this? I'll pick him up at the end of the day. And I came back at the end of the day to pick it up, and they had been so tickled by it that they said, we gave you a little surprise. And there must have been like $75 in stamps in there. We said, we tried to pick good ones for you so you can use them on your envelopes and stuff. I thought that
that's
was
cool.
super. That was super
Yeah.
sweet. And then my postal workers here in Warren are just fantastic. I mean, I've put them through more than a few moments. I remember at one point I was just trying to see how large a postcard I could make before they told me to stop. And I got to 4.5 feet by 4.5 feet before they said undeliverable.
Really?
Yeah, and the only reason they said undeliverable was because they put it on the scale and they put in the dimensions. And because of the computer couldn't understand why something could be so big but so light, and so it just
Yeah.
came back as undeliverable.
Oh.
So 4.5 feet. That one up there actually is one of the first ones I did. That stencil on cardboard is the first postcard. I mailed those overseas. I mailed them around the country.
On the left?
Yeah, the one of that figure whispering to Christ.
Oh, okay.
That was the
that's
first
cool.
giant postcard I did.
I didn't realize it was a postcard.
They put a stamp on the back of it, put an address. It's a postcard.
There you go. Wow, that's awesome. No,
But yeah.
man, that's great. I mean, so you've compiled all the mail art to like any kind of book format, or?
I do have my early stuff in book format. It's 5 different volumes, 5 or 6 different volumes. And then once I left Kinko's and I got my first scanner, then I've just been keeping it online.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think right now online there's a couple thousand envelopes online of mine that I've done.
Wow.
And then as for ones I'm getting, when I get ones I really like, I staple them up in the bathroom there. So
Mm-hmm.
as you use the facilities here at the fort, you can enjoy wonderful mail art from around the world.
Look at that. So how do you find the people that you correspond with?
Originally, when I first started doing it, and this was in the earlier days of the internet, I would just go on to like whatever sort of, I would actually go on to dating sites. And I would write people being like, look, I'm not here to date you. I don't want to date. But I'm looking for pen pals. Because I
They're
didn't
like, sure,
realize-
buddy. Sure, buddy.
Right. And I guess I didn't actually get many pen pals from it, but I did get a few, and some of which I still actually write to today.
That's cool.
It is cool. I mean, I love getting mail. Who doesn't like getting mail that's not a bill?
It's true.
But over the years, you know, as my work's become better known, and as I've become busier, I can't do as much mail art as I used to. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a bummer in the sense that I still get people saying, hey, you know, they see what I post on Instagram or whatever when I post mail art. They say, I want to trade with you. And sometimes I'll say, okay, let's do it, but it's going to probably be a year before you get anything. Or I'll say, sorry,
Yeah.
I got too many. I'm already writing. Like now I actually have regular correspondence, friends from California that I stay in touch with. My mom, I try to send her one every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Just things like that. I got a buddy, Mark Bedini, the original drummer from the Eyesores. He and I are doing a year-long mail art trade because he's trying to get back into doing art again. And so the deal is once a month I make these big postcards,
Right.
and we just send each other mail art through the mail.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's great, man.
It is great, and I love the idea of postal workers along the way seeing it and hopefully bringing a smile to their day.
Yeah, it's true. I've seen some stuff which is like, none of it's like, I don't think I've ever seen anything too impressive yet. For the most part, it's the stamps that I like. Like some of them, some of the international stamps and stuff are pretty amazing.
Beautiful, and I've tried applying for stamps. You know, once in a while the post office has, you know, submissions for new stamps. I've tried. I've yet to get it. That would
That'd
be a
cool.
real watermark for me.
I think
feel
you
if
just
could
have
get
to
it.
make sure that they know about you, like you and like Sonny as well. Like if he's making art specifically about the post office, like you just have to like market that to them, like get in touch with the right people, like their marketing division.
Maybe.
And
I
just
guess
be
I've
like,
never
we had
tried
this
that.
art, we had this like, you know, legitimate like, you know, mail art, whether it be mail carrier associated, you know, the image of the vehicle or the uniform, something like that, or you just actually using the postage to get through to and from the mail, like that shit's that they eat up.
I was just in Taiwan. My wife's from Taiwan, so we went back to visit her mom and all this stuff. And while I was there this last time in Taipei, they have a whole postal museum there. It was phenomenal. Not only was it focusing on, excuse me, the Chinese postal system, but they had one whole room, drawers upon drawers upon drawers, walls upon walls with sliding racks that just were the postage stamps throughout the ages
Yeah,
from around the world. What a trip that was.
that's cool.
It is, because to me, well, one thing that really got me interested in postal stamps were fascist dictators.
Oh, yeah.
So,
all their portraits.
well, not just portraits. There's two things dictators will do when they take over a country. They usually reissue new money, and they usually reissue new stamps.
Oh shit.
And if you think about it, both stamps and both stamps and money are what a country uses to show the rest of the world what their culture is, who they are.
Mm-hmm. Or what we share with them, I guess, maybe even.
Well,
It kind of goes in circulation. It kind of like goes around.
but no, for instance, like I'm saying, for instance, France, before the euro came around and totally made all money fucking boring.
Right.
Oh, matter of fact, I can show you right here. So one of my collections, I collect paper currency
Oh,
from around the world. So France, is it going to fuck it up if I'm sitting over here?
no, you're fine, man.
So France had this one bill I always loved with the little prince on it. You know, they're showing you that they are a culture of art and writing. Yeah, little prince is on there.
This is the France.
That's the French 50 franc before, but I mean, francs don't exist anymore because now they're all in the euro.
Right. They're all probably European Union.
But to show you what I'm talking about and how countries want you to be known, when Pol Pot took over Cambodia,
Yeah.
cheers. When Pol Pot took over Cambodia, the money he created, instead of having, say, you know, if you look at a lot of this Cambodian money, it has a beautiful image of Angkor Wat and all these other wonderful things. In this case, you will have on one side people working in the fields. Mind you, one of those people working in the fields has an AK-47 on their back. And then if you flip it over, it shows someone just with a straight out machine gun shooting at somebody.
Oh yeah, I see. Okay. Yeah. Oh Jesus, yeah.
So
Wow.
he's letting you know what their country is about through that.
This is numbered. Oh, well, yes, that's serial numbers aren't so.
No, it's from 1975.
Yeah.
But
Amazing.
so with postage stamps, the first one that really caught my attention, I did when I was in college. Besides studying art, I did Holocaust studies. So I spent as a minor, and actually even afterwards, I spent years studying the Holocaust.
Yeah.
And one thing I came across were these stamps from, I can't remember what year it was, but it was in the 30s, pre-World War II, before, the invasion of Poland, but after Hitler came to power in 1933. And it was this very beautiful, very striking and strong drawing of a sort of, you're looking up at this sort of very Teutonic SS soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it just dawned on me when I saw this stamp, I don't know how many hundreds, maybe thousands of letters a day people were writing back and forth over the borders. Pen pals, business, whatever the fuck. This is just a stamp. They lick it, they put it on there thinking nothing of it.
Right.
But the postal foreshadowing of all those little SS soldiers going into France daily told you what was going to be happening in the coming years.
Yeah.
And that's just when it dawned on me, like, holy shit, these things are incredible representations of places, but also sometimes foreshadowing of some really horrible shit to come.
Almost a messaging service.
Yeah.
Like just in itself and in its artwork.
So that just is what got me into the stamps.
Hmm.
I just love stamps.
That's cool,
Love
man. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't been paying too much attention to it, so I'm not sure if how much of that I've seen. Luckily, there's no Donald Trump fucking stamps yet.
Well, there's going to be, of
Oh.
course. I mean, one of the traditions of a president
Right.
after they've died is to have a stamp made.
Well, at least
so
he'll be
he'll be
dead.
dead. Yeah. But the sad thing, I mean, here's a fun U.S. postal fact. There's only ever been 2 stamps after being issued that have been recalled and discontinued.
Okay.
One was back in, I think, 92 or 93 when I was living in Baltimore. It was celebrating, it was commemorating, not even celebrating, commemorating the anniversary of the bombs that fell on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Okay.
And it didn't show a mushroom cloud or anything on the stamp. It showed the Enola Gay, which was the plane that delivered the bombs. The Japanese government was incensed. And at the time, we were huge trading partners with them. So out of sensitivity to the Japanese, the U.S. postal system pulled that stamp. A lot of people were in an uproar. Why'd you pull it? Blah, blah, blah. But it got pulled. Years later, the only other stamp to get pulled were the stamps of Richard Nixon. Because people were getting them and defacing them. Like putting them behind bars and doing all this. Like kind of actually doing their own little mail art in a very primitive way.
Yeah.
And because he had been a president, I guess someone in the Postal Service high up enough felt this was not appropriate.
Yeah.
And so they discontinued the stamp to
Wow.
stop all this defacing.
That's strange, especially considering it was a U.S. president. I mean, granted, he didn't have a great career.
Oh, people
But-
still laugh. People still joke about him.
Yeah,
I'm
well-
not a crook, blah, blah, blah. I
So
mean,
maybe Trump will get his day, but maybe
I
he'll
could see
be
the
the third.
stamps that are going to come out of that one.
You can make up some good art for that, I'm sure.
Oh, I sent him a portrait I did of him grabbing a woman's pussy, but I did it in this I did it kind of in the color schemes of a lot of the traditional presidential portraits you see.
Oh, yeah.
Because, every president gets their portrait painted to either be hung in the White House or the National Gallery. I painted him this one of him grabbing this woman and sent him a copy saying that I offer it to them freely to use in the National Museum if they wish, but I
Wow.
never heard back.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
think I'll ever
you
hear back.
probably
from
no,
that.
you won't hear back. I would love to know if he actually just even saw it.
I would highly doubt it.
Maybe he kept it for himself.
Maybe he beats off to it. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. He's just like, oh, this guy really gets it.
This guy gets me. He gets my inner spirit.
Oh man, that's good. So going back to your art a little bit, I think you were touching on it, and I wanted to ask you, for all of the artwork that you do for records, do you get to listen to the music beforehand, or is it just
That's part of the deal.
It
I've
always
actually-
It always was
Always.
that way?
I've got very strict terms. If someone wants to commission me, whether it be for a record or just for something to keep in their house, I've got pretty strict terms that I send to them, and they have to agree to them before I'll agree to work for them. And when in the case of bands, I say, I need to hear the music. And as a result, it's been pretty neat. Some of the things I've gotten to hear before anyone else, or
Yeah.
things I mean, right now actually there's an album, and I, by contract, can't say what it is,
Okay.
but I'm super excited because people don't even know this thing exists, and I know they're gonna be very excited when they hear it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
and
cool.
it's so neat to get to after this all stops recording, we can put on some of it because I think it's a band you like.
Oh, okay. Cool, man. Thank you.
Yeah, and but for me too, it's also so neat to get to be a part of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm completely flattered and honored that I get to be a part of it. I'm always amazed people get excited about using my work on something as precious as this thing they've spent all this time making.
Right. Right. Well, I don't know. Do you feel like your artwork has kind of been kind of catered to the music scene now, where like you feel like musicians seek you out because they fall in love with these records, that now they associate your image with that?
There's some of that. As a matter of fact, I would imagine there's all of that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, had I not done artwork for Godspeed, or done all the artwork I did for Ockerville, or done artwork for, say, like Songs Ohio and Magnolia Electric.
Yeah.
Those are the type of bands that have fans that look and find out who the artist is.
Right.
And then I know a lot of people. Last year I got to do an album for an artist I'd never heard before. Beautiful album. I think the artist's name was Bowery Boy Blue. That was either his name or the name of the album.
Mm-hmm.
But he commissioned me specifically because he was a friend of Jason Molina's. He loved what I'd done for him. And so he's like, I want the guy who did that album cover to do mine.
Yeah.
So things like that, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I just thank God for that.
Right. That's great.
Yeah,
Well,
it is.
congratulations to you. I hope that it keeps on going. I hope that you find a lot more amazing acts to work with, and
I
that they
hope so,
seek you
too.
out.
I hope
Because
so, too.
I assume it's good for you for your income and all.
Yes and no.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
not as
I try to
good
keep
as-
it affordable
Yeah.
because, again, for as much as I've done some bigger names, most of the people I work for, this is just their own passion.
Right.
And even if they've got a label backing them, that label expects to get paid
Right.
by fronting them that money. So I'm always, again, I'm humbled knowing some bands that cannot afford me that still afford me.
Yeah.
I mean, I charge for one image on a record. I charge $850. That's not a lot of money, but that's not a little money either.
It's the cost of doing business. I mean, artwork is not cheap in general.
It's not. It shouldn't be, considering, the fact that it's one of a kind, or in the sense of a band.
Yeah.
You are hoping that maybe not so much anymore because actually so much shit is digital. But back when LPs were, LPs and CDs were the way to get about. That image is helping to sell the record.
Yeah.
I think of labels that have, and I've actually gotten into some legal fights with certain labels that have continued to do mass promoting through posters and all this other shit, where the name of the band's tiny, and the image is huge.
Yeah.
And I didn't get paid for that. That wasn't part of the original deal I made with the band.
Right.
And if you feel so confident that this image is going to help attract you to see what this band is, then you need to pay me.
That's is that an intellectual properties kind of argument or case there? What is that exactly?
Maybe. I would just say it's a respect.
Licensing?
Well, they should. Yeah, they're paying to use the artwork for something it wasn't intended for.
Right.
I'd run it for a record. They're
Like
using it for
posters and
posters.
afterward,
And
yeah.
again, like you take a look at take a look at that Ockerville River poster up there.
Right, for Black Sheep Boy.
Take
yeah.
all the artwork away and just leave that text there.
Right.
Is that a poster someone's looking at? Maybe because the text is so small that they'll be curious to see what it is, but it's not pulling you into the poster
right.
as that image is. So at that point, they are monetizing that image, or they're using that image to monetize their product.
Right. Right.
So if you're going to do that, you have to pay extra.
I think that it's it warrants it. I mean, it's a what's the word I'm looking for? I'm fucking
It's
losing
reasonable?
my words today. Yeah, a reasonable request
Yeah.
for
Same with shirts.
Yeah.
When bands, I do artwork for their band, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
want to do a shirt.
Right. Well,
I'm like, good. Well, you've got to pay me X amount up front,
Right.
because you're making X amount off each shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, shirts total different deal because they make their money off of it, which
But they make their money off of posters too. Maybe they're not selling the posters,
it's promo.
but exactly
Yeah.
that poster is getting the attention of someone who might not even know that that product exists.
Right. Yeah. But to speak to what you were saying about the people that are fans of those types of bands, those musicians that admire the artwork, vinyl sales are huge. I mean, that's kind of why I got
Are
into
they
this
still?
gig. they are now again. Actually, it's kind of a resurgence.
That's true.
Yeah, but so it's cool because I think that especially from all the people that I've already spoken with, that are obviously people that are mostly all vinyl enthusiasts to a degree. That's always the thing. It's always just like I love to sit with it and look at the artwork, and it's like right there and it's big, and I can like really kind of immerse myself in it.
Yeah.
And because listening to vinyl is like a really like a passion project where you have to kind of like designate time to listening to a record. Whereas, most people are just, putting it on their phones and plugging it into their car or whatever shit while they're doing something.
Right, streaming and all that
Yeah,
jazz.
yeah. It's like vinyl you sit down for. You put it on in a room, you sit there, you listen to it. So while you're sitting there, you most likely have the artwork open. If it's a gatefold, you got this big book in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
You got the lyric sheet possibly that you're reading along with the song lyrics.
You have to get up and flip the record when side one's
yeah.
over. There is no random shuffle.
Right.
You hear song 3 after song 2 and before song 4.
Right.
The ordering of the record now matters again.
Yeah. Depending on how lazy you are, you might get up and like, skip to the next song, but you probably won't.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so it's really popular again. I mean, like vinyl record sales are actually in competition with CD sales again. Like, or actually, maybe
Are
that's
CDs
not
even
maybe
being
that's
sold
not even
anymore?
true. Maybe digital downloads is what I should say. But yeah.
Wow.
Like, it's neck and neck. It's like they're like hand in hand.
I am surprised to hear that.
Maybe it's good information for you. With the next band that comes through, being like, "Hey, man, I want to have you do the promo poster for the album art."
Maybe. I mean, for me, because I usually deal with the bands. Once in a while, I deal with managers, depending on the level of the band. But mostly, I'm dealing straight with the band, and we figure all the shit that's getting done right off the bat.
Right. So how do you feel getting to meet a lot of these artists? Like,
I don't think I've met a lot of them. I mean, I've
yeah?
certainly communicated with a lot of them.
oh, okay.
Probably I've met fewer than those I've done art for.
Yeah.
But when I do get to meet them, hey, it's great. And then it's also extra fun when I get to build relationships with them. I mean, Jason, is a great example. What started out just as us trading art through the mail turned into me doing his first record.
Yeah.
And turned into us just, continuing for the rest of his life. Correspondence through the mail, and whenever he come to town, we'd get together and shit. But our relationship was mostly through the mail.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was great. How great is that? Will Schaff of Aquaville River. I mean, all the years I worked with them, getting to spend the time with him, I do, because he would come before each record. He would usually fly out here, and we'd spend a few days together shooting around ideas, and he'd be playing me music and stuff. How wonderful is that? That's fantastic.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah. So
I met Will on one occasion. Seemed like a very nice guy.
he's a very nice guy. Ephraim is another one from Godspeed. I mean, I see Ephraim maybe once every 8-9 years, but whenever I do, it's always a joy just to hang out.
Right.
And just to, I don't know. One, it usually involves me getting to see a show. They're nice enough to get me in to see the show. But then two, just shooting the shit with them, just finding out what's up, catching up with their lives.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so you mentioned Jason. Jason unfortunately passed away tragically.
Yep.
Not too long ago. I think
6
it always
years
seems
ago now,
it
maybe?
seems longer than it feels.
Well, wait, I'm 46. He died at 39. We were the same age, so.
Oh, 7
Yeah,
years
so he's
ago.
been dead 7 years.
Yeah. And here in this house is a multifamily house, and you live on the second floor.
Correct.
And then what? Morgan Eve lives
Morgan
here.
Eve from Brownbird and Huntress is on the 3rd floor.
Right. And Dave lived here.
Yeah, Dave sadly died too. He was, I think, 6 years ago.
Yeah, it was around the same time, huh?
Yeah.
And he passed away in this house.
No, he was in the
hospice
hospital
care.
when he
Okay.
died. Yeah. He did spend a year of recovery in this house, and that's when, amazingly enough, he recorded that last album. I don't know if you've heard Access Monday.
Yeah, yeah.
And props to Seth Warren over at Machines with Magnets, because I have the demos, and the demos were the album. I mean, Morgan Eve added things to the demos.
Mhm.
Other artists like Alec also added things to them.
Yeah.
But if you listen to because Dave was just, while he was sick and kind of stuck up there, he was recording in the front room upstairs. And he just recording with like some mics pointed at the drums just as demos. I think the idea was to give them to James Maple, who was, after he got better, they were going to tour and James was going to drum. If you listen to the demos that I have, and then you listen to those same demos remastered by Seth,
Yeah.
holy smokes.
Really?
Those drums sound like he was in a studio. It's
Wow.
incredible what Seth did with remastering that album, and it was incredible that Dave did it. There's only one song on that album where Dave's voice sounds weak,
Yeah.
sounds sick.
Right.
And then it's incredible that Morgan Eve afterwards, after Dave's death, that she went into the studio and fucking did that, because that's a kick in the gut every day you're doing that.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
so
that-
especially so soon after. I mean, just still harboring that fucking
Yeah.
horrible burden.
That whole album is just one example of another of people involved in that project who are just being incredible.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. Real labor of love for sure.
Oh yeah.
Well, sorry to bring it up. I mean,
It's life, man.
yeah.
I mean, it's not to be dismissive of it. It sucks, but it's life. Not
Yeah.
bringing it up does not bring them back.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I would hope to say that they also have a legacy that will now kind of carry on.
Oh,
forever.
definitely. And especially when I think about Jason, one thing people say is, oh, he died too young. Think about all the music he still had left to release. And it is true. He did die young.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's too young considering what he was doing to his body.
Right.
And there is hundreds of cassettes of demo stuff that he's never going to release.
Hmm.
But he also did more with his 39 years than most people will do with 80.
Yeah.
So to focus on the fact that he died young and isn't that sad, you might miss the fact that, holy shit, look at what he did. Just focus on that.
Right.
It's incredible. I mean,
Agreed.
same with Dave.
Shit, I'm 39 now. That fucking puts it into a way different perspective.
Yeah, he was dead at 39.
Oh, man.
And you have outlived David Lamb by 3 years.
I can't say I'm happy about it, but it's cool. I mean,
We are fortunate.
yeah.
There is reason to raise a glass to fortune.
Yeah.
But that's it. It's fortune. It's good fortune for us, bad fortune for David. And I mean, fortune is nothing we can control. That's
Right.
it. Bullshit. You want me to get you some ice? More ice for your drink?
Oh man, I'm a man. I can handle it.
You got it? You gonna go straight?
Yeah. I'm no prude. I'm not shy. I've dealt with worse. I can.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Sure. There you go. Well, thank you again for having me and for allowing me a fine beverage.
Fuck yeah.
I don't want to end on a sad note. Is there anything you'd like to mention, or is there anything we forgot to touch on tonight?
Kid Dakota.
Kid Dakota.
Do you know Kid Dakota's music?
No, I'm not.
Kid Dakota. And actually, Darren Jackson lived here in Providence. I met him in Providence when he was living here. We were neighbors on the east side at the time, and he is now in St. Paul, Minneapolis. He is an amazing musician with, I don't even know how many albums under his belt. He, like Redfern, is someone that not enough people know about.
Yeah.
He's got a cult following, but it's a small one.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, to end on a good note, people should listen to the music of Kid Dakota, especially his last album, Denervation, that came out last year. Absolutely astounding. Great harmonies, great songwriting, great musicianship, very good recording engineer, and he does it mostly all himself, right down to the recording. He is a powerhouse of a person.
Wow. Cool. Well, I will try to check it out.
Hot dog.
Sounds good, Will. Thank you again.
Cheers. This was fun. Thank you,
Cheers,
James.
man. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, podcast listeners.
Thank you.